Tonight in Atlanta, President Joe Biden will go head-to-head against his rival, former President Donald Trump. To say that a lot is riding on this debate would be an understatement. This debate is the earliest two candidates have ever debated in an election cycle, and questions are swirling regarding President Biden's age and Donald Trump's legal woes. Tonight's debate is hosted by CNN and will be moderated by Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. Joining us now from CNN's debate hall in Atlanta is contributor Wyatt Sharpe. Wyatt, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Now, Wyatt, what is the mood right now in the lead up to tonight's debate?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly very interesting, especially when you think about the fact that usually these types of debates are actually moderated by the Commission on Presidential Debates and organized by the Commission. But in this case, President Biden and the Biden campaign had actually come out and they had said that they no longer have the confidence of the Commission to organize and moderate such a debate. And as a result, the Biden campaign proposed letting a news network moderate some of these debates here. And so we have the CNN debate tonight. We have an ABC debate on September the 10th. But the Trump campaign is really just saying that they believe it is unfair, essentially, and taking issue with it, but that they're still willing to debate to let Americans kind of make a decision here. As an example, the press secretary for former President Trump was on CNN recently and giving an interview, as you know, surrogates do for various campaigns, and she was actually cut off by the CNN host, which led to Steve Bannon, one of Trump's closest advisors, saying that Trump should pull out of the debate. And so you have a lot of questions surrounding the moderators in particular and the network coming from the Trump campaign, which makes for quite a contentious feeling here on the ground.
Now, based on your conversations at the debate, what is President Joe Biden going to need to accomplish to be successful tonight?
Yeah, I think it's really trying to prove and say, look, I know I'm old, I'm 81 years old, but look at the alternative. If we look at Donald Trump, for example, the arguments that the Biden campaign consistently makes has to do with Donald Trump's rhetoric in the lead up to the 2020 election, for example, how he handled the pandemic. They really just have to make reference to what was the 4 years under Donald Trump like, in particular the last year with the COVID-19 pandemic, maybe making reference, for example, to Donald Trump's fiscal management, how I was speaking to Jeff Duncan recently. He was talking about how Donald Trump, has really buried the United States and in particular my generation in a lot of debt, as an example. And so if President Biden focuses in some ways on the fiscal policy and fiscal management, that will, I think, in many ways actually persuade people to his campaign, just because whether it be in Canada or the United States right now, really in a bunch of G7 countries, the real kind of pinch that people are feeling is the cost of living and affordability. And that is something that is really, impacting people on kind of the day to day.
And what about Donald Trump? What does Mr. Trump's approach need to be to beat Biden in the debate?
Yeah, I think it's really just as it would be for any incumbent president, as an example, just, looking at what the past 4 years have been like. And so making reference to perhaps some of the bad things. And of course, former President Trump will bring up the cognitive decline of President Biden as well. The fact that he recently at a Juneteenth celebration, for example, appeared to freeze. There was a clip circulating from a fundraiser with Jimmy Kimmel and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, where the president was forced to be pulled off stage by President Obama. So if President Trump can really at least make a point about that, not stick with it for the whole debate, though, because I think people do want to hear, some substance and some actual policy discussions as to how each of the candidates are going to make their lives better. If he can find kind of a balance between the two of those, then I think he'll have a, relatively decent night.
And what policies or topics might be the deciding factors for voters in this debate?
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, I think one of them is definitely the cost of living, just because it has been, inflated so much over the course of the pandemic. Prices rose, supply chain issues, and what have you, really causing people who are already living paycheck to paycheck, having to make, decisions that really no one should have to make. And so a lot of Americans, even just speaking, we've been here in Atlanta for the past few days now, whether it be speaking to Uber drivers taking us from point A to point B, they're explaining the fact that right now in the United States, there is this divide, and really all that is needed to fix it is some unity, and what better way to get unity than actually finding kind of a uniting force over an issue that has been dividing the country for so long. And in this case, the cost of living is certainly something that has allowed people to get richer, other people to get poorer, and just really not necessarily allowing people to thrive and prosper in kind of, the way in which they would be able to do if the economy was stable.
Wyatt, thank you so much.
Thank you.